Hey everybody, it's Allison from Green Saves You Green. Here I'm just gonna try to make some rice in my Instant Pot. This is the first time I've ever tried it, but as you'll see in the video, I think that this is an amazing way to make rice. It's so quick and so easy, and it turned out awesome. I even have a rice cooker, and I still had a little bit of trouble making rice. It's kind of funny, but this in the Instant Pot, it worked so amazingly. I think that's the only way I'm gonna make rice from now on. So now I'm just going to go ahead and cut up all the vegetables that I need for all the different meals. And it's a lot of peppers, onions, mushrooms. And just so you know, I'm going to have a link in the description box to all of these. I don't really want to call them recipes because there is a recipe for it, or I went off of a recipe at some point, but most of these are just things that I just kind of threw together. So I can't really say it's a recipe. It's just, this is more like for ideas. You can obviously do this yourself. You can change anything you want to change, just like with any recipe. But I'm going to write down basically what I used. The only problem is I really didn't measure anything. I just kind of did what I felt was good for each one of the recipes. So I will put like estimations in the blog post so that you can follow along. But really, you can add, you can subtract, you can change any kind of seasonings, or, you know, peppers, onions. You don't like onions, leave them out. You know, you don't like mushrooms, you don't have to use mushrooms. So it's more like a guideline, I guess, than a recipe. But I will post it. That way you can see pretty much what I did. But I will say that I don't hold me to the exact measurements because I did not measure anything. I just chopped and poured and went with the flow. Now that I'm done chopping everything, I think my rice is ready, and like I said, it just looks like perfect. I've never made rice that good before. So now I'm just going to cook these mushrooms up because Google told me to. I did read that you could freeze mushrooms like raw, but I think the main recommendation was to cook them first, so I decided I was just going to cook them all together. And after I got done cooking them, you'll see that I just kind of split them amongst the meals. But I just cooked them all together. Just added a little bit of seasonings and cooked them up. Then I cooked the garlic and onions. I only cooked up the diced onions. The ones that I had sliced into like the bigger pieces for the fajitas and for the soup, I did not cook those. I just threw them in raw, as you'll see later. And I have spread my rice out to cool quickly, and I wanted to add some soy sauce to it, and then I realized that I barely had any soy sauce, but I just went ahead and added what I did have on there. And so you're supposed to, if you're going to freeze rice, you're supposed to like let it cool down and freeze it quickly. So that's why I spread mine out as much as I could. You'll see I'm just adding some frozen veggies. I got that mixed one with the broccoli in it because I wanted broccoli, and the store didn't have any that were just broccoli, and then I got that mixed pack and there's like one piece of broccoli in there. But anyways, I'm adding some of the onions and the mushrooms and garlic. And then I just mix it all together in like that big pan, but then I split it into smaller sections, smaller portions to freeze it. Now I'm working on the veggie fajitas, and basically everything is completely ready for that. It's already all chopped up, the tricolored peppers, the green peppers, the onions, and then I'm adding in some of the cooked mushrooms and some different seasonings. And you could add black beans in here as well. I thought about it, but I will probably serve this when I make the fajitas with beans, so I left them out. But you could easily throw some black beans in there as well if you wanted to. Now I'm going to make my black bean soup, and you'll see I'm just adding the things to the bag. Now normally I make this soup in my crock pot before I freeze it, like I completely cook it, but I use dry beans. However, the store did not have any dry beans. I had to get canned beans, so I just basically put everything in there raw. And when I do go to cook it, you can cook it in your crock pot or you can just heat it up on the stove, but I will take an immersion blender and blend all of that stuff into like a soup, a black bean soup. So normally I do all those steps before freezing it, and I would have if I would have got the dry beans, but this is what I had to work with, so this is what I ended up doing, and I'm sure it's still going to be just as good. So right here I have the extra peppers and onions that I had already chopped up, and I'm just going to throw them into a bag and freeze them just like that, and I can pull that out and use that for whenever I need it. I'll start off the lasagna rolls by just boiling the pasta. I decided to make the rolls because I literally just had like 8 noodles or 6 noodles, I think. Yes, I had 6 noodles, so I was like, what can I do with these 6 noodles? My friend was going to throw them away, and I was like, no, like I got to do something with them, so this is what I decided to do with them. And like I said previously, I did not measure anything. I just kind of put, because I only had 6 noodles, so I just figured I just kind of tried to wing it how much I needed. I didn't want to have a whole bunch of filling left over, even though I'm sure I could have done something with it, mix it with some other pasta or something. But anyways, I just scooped some out, stirred it with an egg and some cheese and different seasonings. And then I added my mushrooms and my spinach, and that made a really good filling for my pasta noodles. This actually ended up a really great clean out meal because I had that spinach in my freezer for a while. It was already open. There was just a little bit left. I had that pasta sauce in my fridge because I had already used most of it for something else. And then, like I said, I only had the 6 lasagna noodles. So this ended up being a super awesome meal to just get rid of some things and make it into something super delicious. Here I'm starting the filling for my mushroom pot pie. I just melt some butter with some onion, and I always use frozen mixed veggies. You can use any kind of veggies that you want, but I just find it's easiest to just buy the frozen mixed veggies and just mix it in. Sprinkle the flour on after you've melted the butter completely and let the veggies cook for a moment. And stir it really good. Make sure it's all incorporated. You're gonna add your water, or vegetable broth is better, but I didn't have any at this point, so I just used water. And just mix it really well. I did heavy seasoning since I didn't have vegetable broth. And then you add your milk. And just stir. This meal is a lot of stirring. You just stir, stir, stir. And you'll see that it'll thicken because you had added the flour. And I added my mushrooms in at the end here. You could also add in any type of meat if you did want to add meat. You add it in at the end once it's already cooked meat, obviously. And you have to let this cool completely before you place it into your pie crust. Thank you so much for watching. I think that this video was more like just ideas what to do, because you could change any of these ingredients and make them all completely into your own in all different kinds of ways. The seasonings, the vegetables, the pot pie, you could add so many different things too. So this video was more just to give you ideas, and I really appreciate you watching.